Welcome to the Audio Inc. Radio podcast, featuring interviews with the biggest names in rock and metal, hosted by Anne Erickson.
Get inked. Visit Facebook.com/Audio Inc. Radio, Twitter.com/Audio Inc. Radio, and AudioIncRadio.com for more ink.
Hope you're doing well and staying safe. It's Anne Erickson, and it's not just any podcast today. It's my birthday podcast. This is going to be like a big party because obviously this year hasn't been the best for birthdays. I can't have a big party or anything like that. So this is going to be my birthday party right here on the podcast. You are invited. Thank you for rocking with me and making this a great birthday, even with all the craziness and the fact, usually almost every year for my birthday, I go to a concert or a big festival. Usually I actually go to 3 on my birthday week, if anything good is around. Some of the bands I've seen my birthday week: Five Finger Death Punch, Stone Sour. Last year I saw Styx with Foreigner, which was a great show. So I've seen a bunch of different kind of shows on my birthday. But this year, sadly, no concert, no festival, no party. But like I said, this is my party right here on the podcast with you. So thank you for making this an awesome birthday for me. You know who else is making this a great birthday for me? Michael Sweet of Stryper. He's our guest. Of course, legendary musician in the rock world, great guy. The guys of Stryper are known for churning out just really solid, heavy metal music. And even though they're a Christian band, they rock really hard. And I'm telling you, everyone I know loves Stryper. No matter what your religion, it's just, they always have those themes of love. They always have a killer live show and always put out amazing music. So very excited to have Michael Sweet back on the show. The guys of Stryper have a new record on the way, Even the Devil Believes. That's out September 4th via Frontiers Records, and I've heard a preview of the album. It's an amazing set, lots of great anthemic, riffy rock on here. And Michael Sweet, his voice, he's just getting better and better with time. So I think it just makes for a perfect birthday podcast to have the great Michael Sweet on the show. We'll talk to him in just a few. And I just want to remind you to please, as a birthday gift, subscribe to the Audio Inc. Radio podcast, wherever you rock out to podcast. Leave a 5-star review. I really appreciate all of the amazing support. Link up with me online. Send me a birthday message. I promise I won't be mad about it. I love birthdays and I will be very happy to get a birthday message. So hit me up on Twitter and Snapchat at Anne Erickson, Instagram at Erickson Ann, and link up on Facebook and all of my socials at itsmeann.com. One more thing before we talk with Michael Sweet. I admit I'm eating cake. Got birthday cake here in my studio. So that's how I'm rolling right now. Don't judge. It's my birthday. I can have cake. Need to get some ice cream to have with this cake. Without further ado, it's Michael Sweet from Stryper.
Hey everybody, Michael Sweet of Stryper here, and you are listening to Audio Inc. Radio. And I want to take this moment to wish Anne Erickson a very happy birthday. Hey, what's going on?
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm hanging in there considering it's a crazy year,
Yeah, I know. It is crazy, and next year's probably going to be crazy too, and we'll figure this out one way or another.
I know. It's crazy. Well, congrats on the new record on the way, Even the Devil Believes. Everything I've heard off it sounds really killer. First of all, that's a great title. Tell me about the meaning behind Even the Devil Believes.
Well, I mean, it's got a few different meanings to it. I mean, the first one being the obvious, and that is, the devil originally was obviously, he's a creation by the Creator. God created the devil. He's an archangel, if you believe in what the Bible says. And his name was Lucifer. Tried to take over heaven. He was booted out of heaven, fell to earth, and became Satan. So the devil knows is the past, the devil knows the present, the devil knows the future. He knows what's going to happen. He knows what's happened in the past. So that's what that means, that he believes. everything that's transpired. And then the Bible also talks about how every knee shall bow and confess that, he is Lord of Lords and King of Kings, being God. And the devil will be one of those knees that will bow. And the Bible is very specific about that. And then the other side of the coin is, it's one thing to say you believe, but it's a whole other thing to show that you believe, because even the devil believes, but that doesn't mean he's going to heaven.
Oh, yeah.
So it's got a couple different meanings to it.
No, that's cool. That's a good point. And I always think of, for example, atheists, I feel like they can't believe in the devil. There are people who worship the devil, but then an atheist, it's well, if you don't believe in God, you can't believe in the devil.
Well, that's true. It's absolutely true. And because, if you don't believe in God, the creator, then there's no creation. And it's there are atheists. I've met atheists that do believe in the devil, and which is very interesting. Yeah, it gets very convoluted and very confusing. But everybody knows where we stand. They know that we believe in the Bible. We believe in God, of course, and we believe in the devil. I mean, there is a devil. I believe that, and it's real. It's very real. But we wanted to come up with a title that wasn't like goddamn evil. We didn't want something that alienated our fans and kept them from listening to the album, because we did have a few of those fans, because of the title on the last album, who would not purchase it and who would not listen to it. They just thought it was a little too much. This is, I don't want to use the term safer, but I guess that's a good way of describing it. This is a little safer, this title, but it's very powerful in what it says and what it has to say.
Right. And you actually recorded the record during the coronavirus pandemic. How did that influence the music on the album?
Well, it didn't, because the music got written just prior to the pandemic. So we started hearing a little bit of stuff going on over in China during that time in December and January, but not a lot. And when we got back from Mexico after recording all the basic tracks, we got back at the end of February. That's when it was full blown.
Wow.
That's when, everybody was freaking out. We were about ready to face a lockdown, and eventually did. And then it so happened that I went into vocal mode. I have a studio here at my house. I started recording vocals during the lockdown. It was really no different than what I normally do, because I'm in lockdown mode anyway. When I'm doing vocals, I don't do anything or go anywhere. So it hasn't really felt that different to me, being in this worldwide pandemic, at least yet.
What made you guys decide to release it now instead of waiting like some bands have for shows to be back?
Well, I mean, that say is also part of the labels. They have just as much say in that as we do. The label being Frontiers, and they actually decided once we turned it in, I think we turned it in May. And once we turned that album in, they actually decided to release it sooner. It wasn't going to get released until November.
Wow.
And they wound up deciding to release it in September.
That's great. They must have liked it that much that they're like, get it out there.
It surprised all of us. I was very surprised by that. So it certainly didn't hold things up or delay things by any way, shape, or form. I mean, it wound up getting a release date of 2 months earlier than the original date. And, we just shot 2 videos just a few days ago. Those are going to be edited over the next week or two. We're going to be releasing a music video on release day, September 4th, to a song called Do Unto Others, and we're really excited about that. And then later on, after the fact, we'll hopefully be releasing another music video as well, for another song on the album.
Well, the track Make Love Great Again, it's just a great anthem. So tell me a little about the genesis behind that track.
Yeah, I mean, you always, run the risk of, when you use a phrase like that that's so connected to the Trump administration and a political, term that's used so often daily, you're going to get the eyebrows raised and people saying, oh my gosh, they're jumping on a political bandwagon here, and it's like, it's really not about that. It was important. Perry threw out the title, Make Rock Great Again. And then my brother said, what about Make God Great Again? I said, well, God's always great. You don't have to make him great again. And then we changed it to Love, and felt like, that is something that really needs a little work. We always say we love, but yet our actions don't line up with that. What we see online, what we see on the news, what we see in the world today, there's so much hate out there and so much negativity. So I think that it's an important message to remind people, make love great again. Let love rule. Let it be the lead. Let it be in the front lines. And if we can do that, and remind ourselves of that, everyone contributing, eventually it will. It will be great again, and it'll rule the earth. And, maybe that's just a fantasy or a dream, but I don't think it is. I think it can become reality for sure.
And I think that's so crucial now because there's so much division and everything's so polarized. I feel like people have forgotten about love right now. It's just gotten kind of nasty.
There's no question. There's no question about it. And the people that can't see that truly either are never going to see it, or they're just blinded in the moment. And maybe they'll come around to seeing that is the truth. There's a lot of nasty stuff out there, negative stuff out there. And, we've heard it all before a gazillion times, but it's so true. The press doesn't help matters. It's like when you turn on the news and just all you hear about is negative every story. It's like, come on, man, there is positive stuff happening. Why don't you put that up?
So you also have a very successful solo career. Do you have any plans to record or release new solo music later this year?
Not later this year, but I do plan to get in the studio. I've got a couple projects I got to wrap up this year. One with Tracy Guns, and a couple other projects with Frontiers, and then at the start of next year, I'm going to start recording a new solo album.
Okay.
And I just heard from the label about a new Sweet and Lynch album. At some point next year, we'll start on that again, hopefully. George and I will be able to do a third Sweet and Lynch album. And then by the end of the year, we'll probably be talking about a new Stryper album.
Wow.
And recording that by the end of next year or the beginning of the following year, and so it gets released. I like to do Stryper albums so they're every few years.
Yeah, you just mentioned George Lynch, and I just interviewed him, and he told me that he's not going to use that Lynch Mob name anymore. So he's going to not tour or release new music with that band name anymore. So I wondered your thoughts on that.
I heard that too, which is interesting. I'm not sure. I haven't talked to George personally about that, and if it's based on trying to be politically correct and not offend people. The sad part about that is that's George's name. It's like, dude, that's your name. You're going to change your name? It's like, it's just so interesting to see. There's got to be some sort of middle ground. It seems to me in the world that we live in, it's one way or the other. There's no middle ground. And it's like we all have to kind of keep our common sense and let there be some sort of middle ground. So, if George has other convictions that are causing him to want to not record under that name, Lynch Mob. I kind of get that. The mob adds a little extra, concern to the name. But, you can't stop using your name.
Yeah, maybe something else with Lynch he'll come up with, but who knows?
Yeah, so if someone has the name White, are they going to change their name? I mean, it's their name.
Right.
I'm glad my name is plain Anne Erickson. I don't think that, yeah.
My name is Sweet.
That's perfect. You're lucky.
I got teased for it in high school in gym class, but other than that, it works okay.
So, well, with coronavirus, of course, this year there's been no touring. It's just turned the world upside down. Based on what you're hearing in the industry, do you have any idea when traditional shows might be back?
I don't. I think shows are already coming back. We're seeing video footage of some shows taking place here and there. Traditional shows at a certain level with a certain number of people, I don't know. You know, the larger shows, arena shows or stadium shows, I mean, I think we may not ever see that again.
Wow.
We may not ever see 50,000 people packed into an arena or packed into a stadium. That may never happen again. Because you hear about talk about this is not going anywhere, this virus. Some people say, oh, yeah, it's going to be eradicated, blah, blah, blah. I don't think so. I think it's always going to be around and come in waves, and like the flu, and, you know, we'll have a vaccine at some point and get a grip on it to some degree, but then I think the following year it's going to come back, and there's going to be cases, and then it's going to, you know, the numbers will go down and then go up and go down and then go up. You know, it's going to be here with us for years to come. So that being the case, if that's correct, that means it's going to affect, you know, any business that requires massive amounts of people piling into an arena or a stadium.
Right.
It's inevitable. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. The good thing is, I guess, for bands like Stryper, is we're not an arena band anymore. We used to be, but we're not anymore. We play clubs, and usually 500 to 1,000 people. Mm-hmm. So maybe it'll be a little easier for us to figure out how to make that happen in terms of shows. But who knows? And then I also go out and do a lot of acoustic solo shows to 100 or 200 people. So, you know, I think it'll be easier to make things like that work, smaller capacities work.
Yeah, it's so crazy to think that. What if a huge arena show or festival, you guys play a lot of, you know, the big festivals, what if those are done? It's hard to wrap your head around.
I know, it is. And I think there's the people out there that are in denial who say, there's no way that could happen. And it's like, well, why couldn't that happen?
Yeah, right. It's happening right now. So.
Yeah. Would you have said a year ago that we're going to have a pandemic and everything's going to be shut down? People would say, no way, that could never happen. Well, it happened.
Right.
And we're very vulnerable, and things like this can happen. And, you know, we might not see for a very long time these kinds of big festival shows and arena and stadium shows. Those might be a thing of the past. It's very possible.
Oh, it's so crazy. Well, on to a brighter subject. You're You're known, you know, for being Christian, and I am too. So I was wondering, what does being a Christian mean to you?
Well, I mean, it means being, you know, a good example of all things Christ and Christian based. You know, let your light shine, as they say. You know, be an example, not just with your words, but, you know, let your actions line up with your words. You know, be a good example to other people. Be an inspiration. Be an encouragement to those around you, your neighbors, your family, your friends, you know, and everyone you come in contact with. Are you really exemplifying Christ in everything that you do and say? And I think that's the thing to remember. If you're going to call yourself a Christian, make sure that you're doing that, or you're at least trying to. Do
you think that being a Christian and making heavy metal music is more accepted now than it was when Stryper was first starting out?
Sometimes I do, and then other times I don't. You know, sometimes it feels like it's more accepted and that we've come a long way, and then other days it feels like we haven't advanced or progressed at all. It's very interesting. Heavy metal it almost feels like it's compared more to a traveling circus in terms of the music. It almost feels like we're the ones that are looked at as circus folk, you know, as people that are a little more on the odd side or the weird side or not the norm. In reality, you know, we're regular people. Some of the kindest, sweetest, most respectful people I know are, you know, in metal bands. Mm-hmm. And yet, I think in the world's view, we're not looked at that way sometimes. And then you add the Stryper. We're in a metal band that sings about Jesus. It's like we're really weird, you know. We're complete weirdos. But it's just interesting how that works. But, you know, I do think that we've advanced in some ways, and we've unfortunately regressed in other ways. We've gone backwards in some ways.
Oh, thank you, Michael. It's been awesome. Is there anything else you want to add?
I want to thank you for taking the moment to talk to me and for all the support. And I can't wait to see it. Once it's available, let me know and I'll post it everywhere, okay?
Awesome. Thank you. It'll be up Monday on my birthday, so next week.
Perfect. Well, happy birthday.
Thank you so much. And have a great weekend and everything. Stay safe.
Absolutely. You too.
Thank you. Bye.
God bless you. Bye-bye.
The great Michael Sweet of Stryper, thank you for being an amazing guest on my show. Michael, just a great dude. As you can tell, very down to earth and just a positive guy. Always great to talk with Michael. New album on the way, Even the Devil Believes, out September 4th via Frontiers Records. And this is a banger. This is a great record with those anthemic, just riffy tracks, and Michael Sweet sounds amazing on everything that I've heard off the set. So very exciting. Great to talk with him about everything that's going on in the world because he always has a very good perspective on what's going on. So great interview. Thank you again, Michael, for being an amazing guest. It's Anne Erickson and my birthday. Thank you for being part of my birthday bash, my birthday party. This is it. This is it because I'm not doing a big party with people, obviously, not going to a concert like I usually do or a festival, but I'm still having a great birthday. So thank you for rocking with me. More great podcasts on the way. And if you missed some of the past few podcasts, catch up. What are you waiting for? They're waiting for you right there on my podcast page. One episode that's gotten a lot of attention, which we talked to Michael about, that George Lynch told me that he is ending the Lynch Mob name brand, won't be using it anymore, which is a huge deal. So you can check out that podcast. George Lynch, a great guy, just another awesome guy to chat with. Once again, don't forget to subscribe to the Audio Inc. Radio podcast wherever you rock out to podcast. Plus, leave a 5-star review. That would be a great birthday gift for me to subscribe. Leave a 5-star review. Tell your friends because that helps. That would be another great birthday gift. And link up with me on social media. itsmeanne.com has all of my socials up there, but the main ones, Twitter and Snapchat at Anne Erickson, Instagram at Erickson Anne, and Facebook is kind of complicated. That's why you have to go to itsmeanne.com to find my Facebook. Long story. One last thing, check out my band Upon Wings at uponwings.com. I promise something very exciting and unexpected is on the way. Until next time, be safe, God bless, and we'll rock soon.
It's the cutting edge of new music and the forefront of rock. It's Audio Inc. with Anne.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Audio Inc. Radio podcast. Subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. Get inked online at audioinkradio.com. I'm Anne Erickson for the Audio Inc. Radio podcast.